Hey guys, welcome to my Magic Realm school rebuild. Now, as we all know, Realm Magic has come out and the Magic Realm school is nice. It's nice, but I wanted to do something a little bit different with it this time around. So I am making a full-on Magic School rebuild. I completely demolished it. I put down a Morgan clone so I could get into the Magic Realm. And I'm currently working on these stairs because I was messing around with the stairs here because I wanted to try and do like split level stairs into the school, but that didn't actually work. So instead I just used regular stairs. But I completely renovated this whole thing. It took me a good 4.5 hours, I'd say. It took a long time. This is actually going to be a multi-part build because this took quite a while, and I did like 4 or 5 different recordings of just trying to get this done, and each video was roughly an hour long. That's how long this took. So I sped it all up. We're going through, and as you can see, it's coming along nicely. Just making the front stairs. It's quite a big lot, so I had quite a bit to work with. But the one thing that I wanted to do was get some of the symmetry right. And one issue I had initially was I was a bit worried that I was gonna have too much space to work with because it's a magic school, and normally you'd think of schools as being rather large, but also having loads in them. So I was struggling to see if I kind of make a basic shell. This part of the build is going to be a 4-part series. This first one is basically building the base, the shell of the school, and then doing the entranceway and exit way of the school. And I had a lot of fun building this. It took so long. It took me a weekend to do. It just took that long, but I had a lot of fun. I was trying to get it right symmetrically, but then actually I pushed it out way too far on that side. It's kind of out by 1, which is a bit awkward. So it's a bit of an asymmetrical building, but I can't really do anything about that because by the time I realized, I'd actually decorated a load of it, and I was like, well, no turning back now. So this was a basic base design of the build, and then I had this huge outdoor stairs bit for the back going down. The only thing is the freaking bridge there kind of caused an issue with it doesn't look right, so it doesn't really look because I wanted the stairs to equalize the doorway, the entranceway, but the problem is it makes the bridge look a bit awkward and out of place. And then I also had this huge area here, which I do decorate later on because I had so much space to work with that I figured out a pretty good way to use it. And also meant I got to use a lot of Magic Realm stuff by starting off with the doors. And now the doors in this game I absolutely love. Stained glass windows, such a brilliant addition to the game. I hope we get more, if not in a future update, at least in another pack. Not university. I don't know if stained glass windows would be appropriate for a university setting, but definitely maybe not. So if you do add fairies and werewolves in their own kind of game packs, I'd like to see more stained glass windows in those kind of packs. And you can see I was trying to get exactly right in terms of symmetry. I wanted this to be as symmetrical as possible because I tend to make boxes in the game, let's be honest. Most of my builds are not that great, but I spent so much time on this and I was actually really pleased with how well it turned out. So I wanted a lot of it to be symmetrical and also quite matching in terms of appearance and design. So I got the little bug lights above the doors and the 2 little stained glass windows, and then I started just quickly working on the stairs to the second floor because I had all this space up here and I was thinking, how do I get up there is the question. So I ended up with this sort of big open kind of hallway, and when you go into first person mode it looks good. In tab mode it doesn't, but you can't really help that with the Sims 4 camera now, can you? And I wanted to again try the sort of weird new stairs in that one, but it also didn't work very well. So I ended up going with just going with the basic stairs, using such basic stairs. But I do use the new stair modifications later on, and I had fun doing this. So I made these sort of little symmetrical doorways where I could put these big archways in. Then I just pulled them out once so they matched evenly. But it also meant I could make a large exit way and then also a large entryway, and it actually turned out pretty decent. And one thing I was able to do, which I really enjoyed doing, was I was able to use so much of the vampire stuff with this pack. It's surprising how well vampires and Magic Realm just really click. That's why I want fairies and werewolves in their own packs. I don't know, if you have Sims 4 vampires and Sims 4 Realm of Magic, let's have Sims 4 werewolves. Sims 4 werewolves, Sims 4 fairies, pixies, I don't know. And utilising the stained glass windows, I absolutely love those. One thing I do is there is like 4 floors to this entire place. There's the ground floor, then there's the second floor, then there's the third floor, and then there's also the basement floor. The basement I thought was going to be a lot bigger than I needed it to be, but it actually ended up being quite small, but it was small in a good way, that I didn't need to make it too big. And then I saw like the problem with the posts, but then I just left those because when I came back into the save after to continue editing this, it just reset itself, so it was fine. I also messed around with the window here, and I used that big rose one, which is very Beauty and the Beast. That area with that window is actually going to be Morgan's office in the game, because each stage I made this into a very like sort of big old like magic school kind of thing, but I also wanted to make it so there was also like dormitories and stuff. Kind of go for a Hogwarts inspiration, but not so much Hogwarts, because Hogwarts is a huge ass castle, and I was just more doing a kind of, oh god, I was trying to think more of like stately homes and stuff, and those kind of things where it's like a big old mansion, but it's also like kind of the school that people live in. Oxford kind of thing. Oxford kind of thing was what I was going for, even though that's more of a campus and has like loads of different buildings. But I was kind of going for like a big old building essentially, and using a lot of the older lights. Some of the Get Famous stuff worked, some of it didn't. And I was just trying to make it so we had this like, I had to like re-go over that to make sure it actually worked properly. And then I sort of ended up building a sort of clock tower. It's kind of a clock tower, but it's not really a clock tower because there's no clock to it. Also, the candle thing annoyed me when I saw that. I was like, I gotta like size it up because they're just that big and there's so much space. And it's like, nah mate, that's not gonna work. Can I have like tiny little candle lights? And it's like, that's not what I need. I put these there. I do change them to the actual Realm of Magic ones because those light up way more. They have a much bigger like fusion of light. Then I quickly made the basement to know just how much space I was gonna need, and then also pull it in and make sure that it's not causing any like dirt bits on the sides, or just pulling it in to make sure that you could see the foundation but also not seeing all the dirt from the basement, so it doesn't look too obvious. And then building stairs down, so I have the stairs to the basement going, so I have it all connected up. And the one thing about this that I enjoyed, I think making the most, was I loved making that entranceway. There was just something about it that I absolutely loved. I do use that light again. Again, I was using the Get Famous ones, and then I switched out for the Realm of Magic ones because those ones are just way better. And I just make this kind of small little bit here, but then I think I do make I do extend them actually, because I add room for doors. Do I add room for doors? Yeah, I added doors here, but I can't remember if I added. No, I didn't actually add extra doors. It was just those 2 doors there. But I add these here, and I just make them a little bit more symmetrical so they kind of fit nicely. It does look a bit odd with the 4 and the 3 on either side of the door, but there wasn't really any kind of 4-way archways that worked that wasn't the Jungle Adventure one. Was it Jungle Adventure or was it Island Living? It was a big one. Then I quickly just utilised the space that I'm going to use to sort of be like, this is what Morgan's office is going to be, this is sort of where it's going to go, this is the space I'm going to need to design all his stuff. Because it ends up being not just like his office, but also like a private bathroom and bedroom as well. Because pretty sure the sages live at the school. I never see them anywhere else. They're always at the school. You kind of have to drag them away. So I ended up making the second floor being the offices for the sages, and also some rec rooms, which then lead up to the dormitories for students who want to stay. That's one thing. And also, I think they reset those pillars. I think they reset there, and I also just make sure that I've got a big enough basement, just utilising the amount of space, because I was just like, I need the space here just to show that I've got it where I need it to go. And then of course you see me keep saving because I was very worried I was going to lose it. Because there was just so much going on. And also this was quite a big build. It does work well. I did play test it. I walked around and stuff, so you can actually walk around. The frame rate doesn't drop, thankfully. And then I also was putting on the vampires flooring here. Very nice for the outside. Worked really well. And then using that big, really nice brick. A really nice blue, dark blue, but very old. And it worked such a treat. And then I do put the more of these on again. I use all 3 different stained glass ones because it kind of represents all 3 of the sages in different ways, which I thought was pretty cool. I don't know why, but I think people seem to associate the moon and stars one with Morgan a lot more, but the rose probably fits him a bit better, and the other 2 works for the other 2 sages, but I kind of like the way that they look. I do also like extend the walls because they do look quite small, and I did have to make them median height in order for them to all be perfectly balanced, as all things should be. And then just painting in the back bit. And the roofing I had a lot of trouble with initially when I was doing this, but when I finished it, the roofing actually looked really, really good. I was super chuffed with how well I did the roofs, because I hate doing roofs in the game because I can never do them, because once again, everything turns into a box. And then I'm working on here and I'm thinking, like, I've got all this extra space, what do I do? And I thought about maybe benches, but then I thought of a better idea, and I added 2 extra fences and turned them into just like tiny little gardens that you can't actually access. So there's just like loads of like different kind of exotic plants and stuff in them, and I think it looked really good. Also added the roses in. Thought the roses would be a nice touch, using the romantic garden stuff and some of the other like wildflowers and stuff. I actually thought it looked really good. Really good. I don't think I ever used that one because it looked good, but I think it also looked kind of odd. And then just using BB Move objects on just to make sure everything fit in nicely, and switching up all the colours. I wanted it to look very colourful. Which was the key for this to work, and I was actually pleased by how well it looked, because I don't really use a lot of flora and like environmental decorations on builds. I just make the house, and that's normally it. But terrain painting, that's not really, I'm not really good at that. I end up with either 2 big dirt pathways or 2 little dirt pathways, or just not enough dirt or too much dirt. But I'm getting better. My building skills are getting slowly better as I sort of work on this. Is on my world rebuild save as well, because that's where I sort of experiment with all my builds. So this, because it's like all the sims are evicted, like tons of the lots are empty, so I just kind of redo a lot of things and sort of edit them over. It allows me to be a little more free with working on everything. And then if I like the stuff I build, I just stick it in other saves, which is actually one thing I want to do. Is I kind of want to put this into my Realm of Magic save, but the school I kind of edited over has already been like well established and like a long time in, so to change it now might be a bit awkward, despite the fact that I think it would probably be a pretty good thing to put it in. Maybe in the last episode of this one, of this little mini build series, I will put a poll in to see if people actually want to see the finished result in Realm of Magic, because if they do, I will put it in, and if not, we'll just stick with the little edit that I've got right now. I mean, I like what I've done so far, making that underground potions dungeon and also the underground dorm area. There's a lot of space there. I think it's because there's 2 basement levels. It's a bit awkward. There's one thing that I do in this build that I absolutely love doing, which I never thought of doing before, because there's so many bookcases. Like, there's not enough like bookcases in the initial magic school. There's kind of like, they're all kind of scattered around, and my answer to that was to put 1,000 bookcases in this building everywhere. Like, on each floor there's at least 1 bookcase somewhere. But I built like a freaking library. I had like so much space. I was just like, I'm just going to put loads of bookshelves in, and it's just going to be a full-on library. And it looked so good. I also get to experiment with these, and I use the dark colours because it looks really commanding. And I just love this idea that these symbols are everywhere, because magic is just all kind of like, it's important. It's like the balance is important. We have the sage symbols everywhere to kind of show that. I'd love to have seen more of those sage symbols on decorative items, like wool things, tattoos, CC. That would have been so cool. Tattoos of the sage symbols, and like each sage maybe has it like tattooed on their hand. That would have been really cool. Morgan with a hand tattoo symbol would have actually been pretty cool, because it would have cemented his legacy as a sage a little bit more. And then I put this statue in. The vampire statues are great, and I thought using the statues actually looked really good, because it kind of made them look very like, the founder of the school. The vampire portraits as well. There is no Sammy B. Incubus portrait in this one. I do just use the regular vampire's portrait instead. But you can see the hallway, the entryway coming together nicely. Like, it's going to be the first thing you see when you walk in, so it's got to look grand and like really nice. But the vampire stuff just works so well with this build. That's one thing I love about the vampire stuff, was all that gothic, like decorative, like walls and flooring and like decorative items we got. I feel like we could have gotten more, but then the packs, like all the stuff in the packs, just feel limited. Anyway, I always feel like there could always be more. And even then, when you find all the stuff in build and buy debug and live edit mode, it's like it's still not enough, you know? You need more. You need more. And then I just made like a sort of, I was like, how do I make a lunch its way here? So I just like added like a table or some shelves using those banners from vampires. Looked really cool because they kind of like cement sort of they symbolize the houses almost. They symbolize the three schools of magic almost, like blue for practicality, red for mischief, for untamed magic, and whatever the hell mischief magic's color is, I cannot remember. Also some cute roses, thought that would be nice. I put the vampire sofas in here as well, just for a little bit of like effect, and also some benches. There's like a lot of places for people to sit down and chill. Also putting those like curtains above the doorways was actually really genius, and I think people can go through them, so you can move through them, like, because they wouldn't snap on us if they didn't. If you couldn't go through them, they wouldn't snap them on. And just making the exit way here, and we're coming up to just the end of this, because once this is done I do move to the upstairs, and that's when I start doing the sage's office. That was really mostly what I did for the sages. It was literally the second episode was me just focusing wholly on their offices to kind of meld with their personalities, and in that episode I will go like a little bit more into the sages and how I interpret them, but for now we're just going to sort of focus on this great little bit here. One thing I do is I put the vampire portrait right above the stairs leading to the basement, because the basement I put like a load of like vampire stuff in there. I put a couple old coffins down there, because big old school like this, you know, there'd be a few skeletons in some closets and a few vampires in some coffins as well. I like the idea of like the vampires and like witch spellcaster world melding together. The problem is dark magic's not really a thing with this pack, so you kind of have to just use the vampires to be all your dark witches and demons, which is not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. I actually quite like the idea of turning my vampires into demons. I mean, I have my incubi. I use that one. I change it so it's not flat, but I use the woman, I think. Yeah, the woman in the gold portrait. It just looks so beautiful, and almost like she's like, you know, one of the founders of the school originally, and it's just like, it's like it cements how old the school is as well. I quite like those old paintings. I want more old classic paintings, devs. Give me more old classic paintings, because I need them. So in the next episode I'm going to be working on the sage's offices, and I'll see you all then. Bye bye now.